Hi everyone, welcome back to another lesson in our Course in Miracles. Today's lesson is an amazing lesson. My part is essential to God's plan for salvation. And we'll look a little bit of some of those ideas that are handed to us in this lesson. And as always, I always teach this, but as always, it's important to remember that the thoughts that are handed to you are exactly the opposite of the thinking of the world, right? Because they aim at bringing about that shift in awareness, that shift in thinking, right? Because human thinking is limited, it's bounding, right? You bind yourself with its limiting perceptual thought, right? So this course tries to free you up by letting you think in an entirely new way that no longer puts these blocks to the awareness of love's presence within your mind, but removes them, right? Yesterday's lesson, I want to go back to that for just a moment because it's so amazing. Yesterday's lesson is salvation is my only function here, right? The reason that you're here, your function that was given to you out of time, right, is salvation. And then the first line says, salvation and forgiveness are the same. Because they are the same, right? Forgiveness is salvation, salvation is forgiveness. Beautiful. They both imply that something has gone wrong, something to be saved from, forgiven for, something amiss that needs corrective change, something apart or different from the will of God, right? Thus, do both terms apply a thing impossible? Right. This is impossible. This world is impossible. Separation is impossible, right? Opposing the will of God is impossible. So they imply that something has gone wrong, something impossible, right? But yet, which has occurred, resulting in a state of conflict seen between what is and what could never be. That's the paradox, right? You are apparently in need for salvation, and yet this is impossible, right? You find yourself in a place, in a condition that somehow occurred, and yet it didn't. It's impossible. That's the paradox, right? That's the situation in which you find yourself. It cannot be, and yet here you are. Amazing lesson, right? How could there be a meeting place at all where earth and heaven can be reconciled within a mind where both exist, right? Truth and illusions both are equal now, for both have happened. Well, yeah, apparently, but not really, right? It cannot both happen. You cannot have heaven and some opposite. That's simply not possible. And that's what I mean when I say the way you think is going to be corrected by the miracle, right? Through this mind training of A Course in Miracles. Because that's how the human mind functions, doesn't it? That's how we function. We function by reconciling opposites. You got heaven, you get hell, or now however you want to think about that. Good and bad, hot and cold, eternity and time, right? Life and death. And you reconcile them in some way that makes both of them plausible or true within your own mind. But they can't be both true, right? This is the thinking that this course is trying to set forth. If everything is eternal, then nothing can be temporal, right? If there is a good, loving, eternally creating God, then this place of pain, sickness, loneliness, and death cannot be real, right? If there is love, there cannot be an opposite to love because love is all encompassing, right? That's that kind of uncompromising thinking that this course is trying to teach us. Beautiful, right? Let me see what else. Wow. Well, let me just go to the lesson for today, right? The lesson for today is my plan is essential to God's plan for salvation. And he really, in this lesson, tries to impress on you that you truly have a very important function to fulfill in God's plan. And that's usually not how we think about ourselves, correct? In your idea of yourself, you kind of go like, well, I can't possibly that. Like you constantly self what's the word I'm looking for? Base yourself, right? You're constantly trying to put yourself down. The self that you think you are is so little that you can't even imagine that you have some important function to fulfill in God's plan. But that's exactly what it is. Just as God's Son completes his Father, so your part in it completes your Father's plan. Salvation must reverse the mad belief in separate thoughts and separate bodies, which lead separate lives and go their separate ways. I love that, because everyone here apparently has separate lives. They have separate interests, go their separate ways. No, that's not it, right? There's no such thing as separate interest, private interest. And yet, that's all you're being told by the world. No, that's meaningless. You are not separate. You're not separate from your brother. You're not separate from source. You do not have separate interest. No. There's only one interest, right? The one that serves the plan, the overall plan, right? For salvation, the overall plan for the remembering, for the return. That's truly what it is. And again, that takes that shift, that necessitates that shift in my mind to see that, right? You have to get used to that way of thinking. One function shared by separate minds unite them in one purpose. Single purpose. Salvation is having a single purpose, and the single purpose is serving mankind, serving awakening, right? Being the light of the world, being happy, remembering who you are. Those are not different things. These are the same in that function. They're the same function. And then he kind of refers to the next lesson, which is God's will for you is perfect happiness. But that's kind of what he says here. It's so beautiful. And then every paragraph after that is simply about, listen, your plan is absolute, your part is absolutely essential, right? Without your joy, his joy is incomplete. Without your smile, the world cannot be saved, right? It's your happiness, your smile, your peace that you carry with you as you undergo that spiritual awakening. That communicates, right? It communicates because everyone here is looking for that and no one can find it. Why? Well, you can't find it here, right? You find it by accepting your function. So when you have that, when you are saved, when you have accepted that, right? When you are in the peace of God, right? That communicates, right? That's what your brother wants. He might not know how you get it. He might not even quite understand what it is that he wants or what it is that you have, but somehow that attracts, light attracts, happiness attracts, peace attracts, right? It communicates. Beautiful. God's messengers are joyous, and their joy heals sorrow and despair. They are the proof that God's will's perfect happiness for all who will accept their Father's gift as theirs. Right? He's giving you his gifts. You have those, and all you need is accept those, and you will be happy. But it is God's gifts and not the gifts of this place, right? This place will not make you happy. You think it may, right? If I just had a job that paid enough, or if I just had a good relationship, and when you have it, you're still not happy, right? Because what? They're illusions, right? They're not fit for the Son of God. They're not fit for you. Right? You ask for way too little. Beautiful. Beautiful. Sadness is the sign that you would play another part instead of what has been assigned to you by God. Today we'll attempt to understand the joys of function. Beautiful. God asks you to be happy so the world can see how much he loves his Son and wills no sorrow rises to abate his joy. Beautiful. Right? You are the light of the world. Be that, right? But you can't be that unless you accept your function. You can't fake that, right? It has to be true. It has to be true for you, right? That light, that peace, that joy, right, has to be established within your own mind. And if you think that's a big deal, well, it's the only deal. But it's not a big deal. It's not hard. It's different, right? This transformation is different. It's different than you used to, right? But once you see how easy it is, right, by getting familiar with it, right, despite the fact that it is different, it does become really easy. Beautiful, beautiful lesson. And then he basically says, well, now let us try to find that joy that proves to us and all the world that God's will for us. It's in you, right? Like Jesus says, there's a door beneath your mind. It's open, you can go through it. You sink beneath all your thoughts of despair, of separation, of what is not so. You let them go. You go beyond that, and the door to light and peace and joy is right there. It's in your mind. It hasn't gone anywhere, right? It's available for you, right? Just by the asking of it. But it does require that you let go of all thoughts, ideas, preconceptions that you hold now, because it's those that prevent you from accessing it. Again, you will change when you practice this. But the thing that changes wasn't real to begin with, right? The self that undergoes a spiritual awakening wasn't real to begin with. It's the self concept that you hold of yourself, but that's not the self that God created, right? You were created whole and perfect by God. That does not change. That self is unchangeable. It's always at peace, always at rest, always joyous, knows perfectly well what it is, right? So remember, the thing that changes, right, wasn't real to begin with. It's never about your happiness, that self-concept, right? Maybe you call it the ego, right? Whatever you call it, doesn't matter, right? But now we're remembering what we truly are. Beautiful. What little thought has power to hold you back? Nothing. Nothing can hold you back. Power does not oppose, right? There is nothing opposing your will, right? There is no alien force, opposing you, obstructing you. That's not true, right? It's perfectly available. I get excited about these lessons, right? But I'm excited about it because I know what it has done for me. I know what it still does for me. I know how much I've changed and became happy and at peace because of it, right? And if I forget for a moment, I apply them, right? That's my practice the entire day. I remind myself, right? The lesson for today, I remind myself I'm whole and perfect, right? As God created me. I remind myself that I'm wrong, right? About everything, right? I remind myself that in any single moment, I do not know what's in my own best interest, but I can be shown, right? It's that unknowingness, that stepping back, that willingness to be wrong that brings about that shift in mindset and happiness and freedom and love and joy, right? It is different. It is different. But that's the way it is, right? So be it. So be it. Beautiful lesson for today. So the lesson for today, lesson 100, my part is essential to God's plan for salvation. Your part is essential. It's absolutely essential. Until you fulfill your part, you'll never be happy. Because that's the only thing that'll make you happy. You be that reminder to your brother of what he has forgotten. And he has forgotten, right? He walks about in this world trying to find happiness in everything he's doing, and he'll find moments of limited happiness, but never really happiness for no reason at all, which is true happiness. If you have a reason that you're happy, the next moment you'll lose the reason that you're happy, right? Because if anything here is the reason for your happiness, then since everything here is temporal and limited, there will be a time that you won't have it, right? Or something happens and you lose it. It's inevitable. No. Happiness comes from accepting your function. Happiness comes from accepting yourself as God created you. Happiness comes from recognizing that you're one with Source, that you're one with everything. And that, I'm expressing the same thing in many different ways. right? But they're not different, right? It's the same thing. And it's no different in every Eastern philosophy has been teaching you, or the teachings of Jesus 2,000 years ago in the New Testament, or any ancient um, spiritual tradition. They all really fundamentally teach the same thing: the illusion of the place that you find yourself in, the illusion of your self concept of yourself, and the apparent availability, right, of a happiness and a knowing in you that really has been, what mystics and spiritual teachers has always taught us, right? But what until now seemed unreachable to you. What is so nice about A Course in Miracles is it simplifies it. It's written in clear Western. You don't have to study ancient Sanskrit text or who knows what. No, this is available to you. It's available to you in simple, plain English or whatever language you're studying A Course in Miracles in. And it's simplified to the point that it is so simple that for the conceptual mind, it's really hard to learn, which, seems kind of contradictory. But this teaching is so simple that if you're trying to understand it with the complex mindset of human conceptual thought, it is really hard, right? That's not how this works. No. Accept what it says he means exactly what he says, right? Don't try to somehow fit it in your own human thought system. Like, oh, I'm going to use the Course in Miracles to get rich, right? Or I'm going to fix all my relationships with the Course in Miracles and get a nice partner. Or I'm going to use it to attract all the things in life that I want. Yeah, but it's still not going to be real. That's not how this works. No, this is radical. But it's radical in a good sense. This works, right? All your plans so far haven't. Anyway, I just, thought I came here with you today and just for a moment join with you in accepting these beautiful thoughts that are given to us in the form of lessons in our Course in Miracles. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do, please give me a like, give me a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and I'll be posting more of these videos. Thank you for visiting, and I'll see you real soon.